shipment of RSPO was exported to Rotterdam port, and there was a symbolic gesture of handing over, I think, 5 or 10 kilos of RSPO certified palm oil to Unilever, to their refinery in Rotterdam. Now that was the starting point. That little act showed acceptance by a major consumer goods manufacturer of RSPO's standard. And that was the turning point. It's not just the export, but the acceptance of RSPO as a certification body, meeting the highest of standards among all other certification bodies out there. Both Malaysia and Indonesia have managed over the last 5 to 6 years to cut back on their deforestation. And if you see some of the learned articles that has been published, in fact, the oil palm industry has been credited as being a success story in reducing deforestation and destruction of the biodiversity, and at the same time uplifting the social economic benefits for the rural community, in spite of all the other progress that we have made. We have been stuck at this 19 and 20% for years now. I would like to see, number one, would be more growers to become members of the RSPO. There are still hundreds and hundreds of companies who are not taking up the membership from the growers side of RSPO. So how do we attract them? How do we get them on board? Of course, there are difficulties for us, because the argument is, why do we have to become a member of RSPO when we are compelled by law to become members of ISPO and MSPO? Time has come for RSPO to work in harmony with other certification bodies, for us to initiate a dialogue with all the other respective standards and create a universal standard. Each standard has got its own, but the basic philosophy is the same. Find ways and means, start a dialogue session with the respective governments, because national standards come under the governments. Start this dialogue session and see how we can all work together and to have a common approach, because the bottom line is sustainable palm oil. That is what we want to market, and to prove to the world that palm oil that we produce, and consume is sustainable. This is where I feel RSPO needs to play a greater role in communicating to the world out there. And I think here we need to start with the children in the educational, especially with young children, because they are the future consumers, and decision makers. So we need to campaign, and we need to start programs of education and communication with the younger population, because the strategy has to be ultimately to produce palm oil in a sustainable manner and to be able to market it to the world, so that we develop trust with the consumers. That is the most important thing that we have to do.